city. So that part of it, like knowing that people really have that kind of confidence in me,
Right.
is kind of is it's not scary, but it's almost overwhelming. Like, wow, like people really think that I can do a great job in this position.
Right.
Like why me? I don't see myself. I think that's what it is. Like I don't really see myself as others might see me.
Right.
So when they say those kind of things to me, it's like almost like you almost want to shed a tear.
Yeah.
Like that's how it hits me too. Like wow. Like and these are people like that really need it the most.
Right.
Like people that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Like, man, Trip, I'm so glad you won. Like you're really gonna bring some changes. I'm like, wow, I really have a lot of things. I have a heck of responsibility, like to never turn my back on these people.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so it's not really pressure. It's just I don't know the word for it. It's just I don't know the right word. Not it's not pressure though.
Right.
Yeah, it's not
It's
pressure.
more or less like just like now I gotta pull out my cape,
Yeah,
and just get to work.
Right.
Are you
right,
ready to get
right.
to work?
I am. Yeah, I've already started. Yeah.
Explain.
Just getting in there because I don't know. Like people, my dad always says, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. So I'm going into this seat not really knowing what it involves, but knowing that I do want to be a change agent for our city. So just kind of learning the in and outs of like the staff, you know, our TV staff, the staff on the 9th floor,
Right.
and really starting to like cultivate relationships with people who I haven't had relationships with in the past,
Right.
like the administration, different community groups, different nonprofits, and just making sure that they understand, you know, why I wanted to be in this seat, and I understand how you know their needs and how they can be helpful in my vision.
Right. What is your vision?
So it's not really. I haven't done a lot of work, of course. It's only been 2 days,
Right.
but
And a lot has happened in those 2 days.
Right, it has, but it's really just kind of getting in there, making sure that people know that I'm going to be there. I really plan on spending a lot of time in the building.
Okay.
Because I don't want, even though a lot of things are remote, like I really want to be in there just so I can learn, so I can know.
Right.
Right.
Right. Their inauguration was 2 days ago.
Yes.
Right. A lot of people, you know, was online, including myself and a couple of my staff members, and we was watching.
Right.
And this is the first time in history that a president, you know, got defeated. Their legislation got defeated.
Right.
How did you feel about that, Trip? Because I know a lot of people they chatting in them streets.
Yeah, and people are upset. You know, and that's a good feeling because I know that the community has my back, and that's what matters to me the most. But like, I don't feel defeated.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't. Because I ran on 7 members we have 13 members of council.
Right.
So I ran on 7. I ran on what the charter reads.
Right.
And the charter is our governing body, right?
Right.
So and the charter says, you know, 7 people should decide how the council structure is made up, not the president. And that's what I ran on. So 7 people did that.
Right.
So I can't be mad at that.
Right.
You know. So I don't feel defeated.
Okay.
Because I'm the sitting president,
Right.
but I'm so much more than that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I would be upset. I would be extremely upset if that happened and it's something that can really defeat my community.
Okay.
So
it's more. This is more about we get together at 7
Right.
and make the community better.
Right.
But if it's something that's negative, it's something that will hurt the community.
Right.
That's when you.
That's when people were kind of surprised how kept I stayed. Like I wasn't emotional.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about me. I can't be emotional over something that I ran on.
Right.
So and it wasn't the 7. It wasn't my plan, of course, to be defeated. But I'm okay. But if something comes up and 7 people vote against for something that can hurt the community, that's when people really need to be upset. But I appreciate the love that I received from, you know, Facebook and the texts and the phone calls.
Yeah.
But I need that same energy when something happens on council that could really hurt us.
Now let me ask you this: there's a lot of talk about the divide.
Right.
Right. Do you see a divide?
Yes, there's definitely a divide.
And how will you correct that?
It's my responsibility to try to bring both sides together.
Okay.
So I have to again just have those relationships almost daily, and those conversations daily, in order so we won't see the same council that we saw over the last 4 years. And that's one of the biggest things that I have to be responsible for, is that leading by example. I don't compromise. I can't compromise my community, but at the same time understanding that we're all not going to always agree or vote the same way.
Yeah.
But if something comes up and council members are starting to lean a certain way around legislation that can hurt the community, again, that's when we got to kind of rally the troops.
Right.
But it's my responsibility, and I appreciate, because there are council members who have since then reached out and said, hey, Trip, I know I voted this way, but listen, I love your vision and I'm with you. So that's reassuring.
Right.
Because again, that night wasn't about me.
Right.
But these next 4 years will be about our community. So they have reached out and said, look, we're with you. We're going to make it happen. Tuesday, I voted this way, but it's nothing personal, but I'm still with your vision.
With the community support,
Right.
and your other members of council, right? Man, what is, like, why is community so much to you? Because
I know that's what the power really is with the community. Like, sometimes people get elected and they think that the power is with us. But I think it was almost evident on Tuesday how powerful our community could be, because they really rallied behind what they thought was, a group of people trying to hurt me. So I don't want people to take it that way.
Right.
Like, I still want them to have that same energy and that same engagement, but really come together and be angry when it's something that can really hurt the city of Wilmington.
So this time right here, time right that you're walking in, this door you're walking, this is a time for healing?
It is, absolutely, because there's definitely a divide, and there always has been. But we can't get anything accomplished that way.
Right.
So people just can't vote against me, or vote against, like, sides just can't vote against the other side for no reason at all.
Right.
So we really have to be able to come together and talk. I can't make anybody be friends and friendly, but we have to do what's best for our city. And I think that's where I have to be that person who says, wipe myself off. And if they see me doing that, and if they see me still trying to do what's best for our council and our city, hopefully there won't be as much of a divide, soon, because we really have to get to work. We have a lot of stuff to do. People are expecting some serious changes from this council body. So we don't really have time for that kind of division, that kind of dialogue.
Now we got a lot of things going on in the world today.
Right.
What just happened down in Washington, D.C. What is your stance on, like, public safety or the police department here in Delaware? Because now people are affected. We understand that there's two Americas, right? Oh yeah. And
definitely.
as city council president, what are you looking to do along with the chief of police to bring some type of healing or some type of conversation to the table?
And like I said earlier, like, I've really started to have conversations with people who I didn't have conversations with before. And one of those conversations, it was with the chief of police, Chief Tracy, and it was a really good conversation. So I hope that he and I can continue to bounce things off of each other. He can understand where I'm coming from. I can understand where he's coming from as a police chief. But I really think there has to be. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. So right now, our police department might have a model of what they think community policing is.
Right.
But we have to ask ourselves, is that in alignment with what the community thinks community policing is?
True.
Right. So I don't think that we're there yet.
Okay.
So it's important that he understands, and the council understands, and the city and the police department understand that in order for community policing to be effective, we have to get the definition of community policing from the community.
Right.
And that is just being totally engaged, walking around, visiting schools, when schools are back in session. It's just, we know what it is, but everybody doesn't have that same kind of background of how we grew up and what we saw when we were younger.
When we were growing up, we knew that Officer Jackson, that was his beat. Right. Officer Jackson knew everyone in the community, and even the teachers when the teachers were in the community, and it was easy for us to learn. It was easy for the lady next door to discipline us. It was different.
Right. And I don't want to paint a broad picture of like that's not happening right now, because there are some excellent community police officers, Black, white, Latino, Asian. There are some excellent ones. So I don't want to, paint them with that broad picture, but they have to realize that they have to step it up a little bit, and it also helps them with solving crimes.
Right.
So if you and I have a relationship, you're the police officer. I'm a regular citizen, and I see something happen. If I can trust you, I'm going to be more open to having that conversation with you when you come around and say, hey, Trip, what happened? Right. I'm going to talk to you. But if only time I ever see you is when something happens,
Right.
I'm not going to really talk to you. And again, based on what we see, how like the experiences that some of us have had with law enforcement, it closes that door even more. So we have to make sure that the police department has to make sure that they're asking the community what community policing means to them.
That's serious.
And
Yeah.
but again, I think there's a lot of pressure and a burden on the police department that shouldn't be. Like they can't, like a police officer cannot change somebody's mentality.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So if somebody wants to hurt somebody, if somebody wants to shoot somebody, they're going to do it. They're going to find a way to do it.
Right.
And a police officer can't do that. So I do think it's unfair that when we have a lot of shootings, like the police department is to blame. Like they're not to blame. They can't go out. Like if you and I have beef, a police officer is not going to change my mind.
Right.
Like you and I and our village can help change your mind, but we can't place that burden, and we shouldn't place that burden on our police department. I mean, they have a role in it, and I think a lot of that is through community policing. We can't ignore their role.
Right.
But I think too much of the responsibility is placed on the police department to try to fix our community, and they can't.
Well, that responsibility is placed on you, on city council.
Right.
It's also placed on the mayor's office.
Right.
And so we got a three ways that this
And that's true.
is placed.
And
right.
that's true. But I guess me being who I am, I embrace that responsibility because I don't think that is the government's role to
That's a good
to do that. But I do think it's government's role to try to break down the establishment that has put black and brown people in a corner for centuries.
Long time.
Right. So that's where the government comes into play. But so we have to address like systemic racism in our school systems that don't fund our kids properly. So how can we expect a child who isn't goes to a school that isn't fully funded, right, might have parents who are on drugs,
right?
Like we expect them to all of a sudden become these citizens who can raise a family,
right?
Like how could they possibly do that? So that's what we have to start to look at some of the fundamental problems with our village.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily the police.
Right.
But I do think that, me as city council president, the mayor, I think it's our responsibility to advocate for those changes.
Okay.
Right. And that's what I want to be a part of for the next 4 years.
Okay.
And not just a conversation. Like if if you and I come back 4 years later and we're still having this conversation and we can't say that we moved the needle. Right. I think I'm a failure. And not even move the needle, but we become the needle.
Right.
Like we got to stop like limiting ourselves. Like we just want to move the needle, now we can become the needle and do what we want with that needle. Yeah. And I think that's where the community's engagement really comes into play.
So that effort, this Trippi Congo, council president Congo effort is community, police, mayor's office working together. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, we have to. And I think the biggest part of that equation is the community. Like the community can control me.
Yes.
The community can control the mayor. Yeah. They can control the police department. And that's what, like they can't just vote me in and then say, okay, Trippi, you got it from here.
We good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's impossible for council members and I to make those kind of changes without the community saying, look, like. And a lot of that stuff happens in Dover. Right. So when we go to Dover, we got to go to Dover with thousands of people in the community saying, look, we got to start to break down this systemic racism that has plagued not only Wilmington, but our state and our country for, forever. Right. So we got to have, we need to have that kind of backing when I'm going to the mayor. Right. Like if the mayor, and right now the mayor is saying that he's on board. Right. So I don't know if you noticed, but I've never commented when, so when I won the election, right, the News Journal reached out to me, and they wanted to know about the mayor and I's relationship, and is it going to continue to be a struggle? And I told the mayor as soon as I won, I don't know if I talked about this last time, but as soon as he won, I was like, look, man, congratulations. We gotta advocate for the people who need it the most. And he said he's on board. Right. So as long as he's on board, I'm good.
Now, and that was my question, right? That's what I was going to go into. I knew, in 107, your relationship with the mayor was rocky. Right. But I also talked to, the mayor one time, and since then, and I talked to you since then. And it was so amazing that, like, okay, you got this 72-year-old white man, right, running the city of Wilmington that's predominantly black. Right. who really wants to help, right? And there's certain things that he just doesn't know about the Black community, right? And I think that's where you come in,
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
You know, you and others come in, especially you come in and say, hey, this is what our community needs. I talked to you offline, right? About you and the mayor, right, working together. And can you talk a little bit about that so the community can hear?
Yeah.
And because this right here is an important conversation from all aspects, from community that we need to play a huge part in this change of Wilmington. Right.
So when the mayor won, I said congratulations. I said, look, we need to talk, because I'm not going to go through another 4 years of frustration of just not talking to him and not giving him a chance to hear, you know, why the people put me in this position. And so that's really important also. Like I understand, and that's another that's a really humbling feeling that people put me here in spite of everything that was talked about, you know, everything that I did when I made the mistake of moving out of my district. You know, everything that I've done over the last 12 years, like people still have faith in me to know that we want Trippi to be, you know, our council president. So that really means a lot to me. So I'm never going to take that lightly. So I went to the mayor and I was like, look, like we really have to be one voice, advocating for, you know, real change in our public school systems, real change in our prison system, you know, real change in our judicial system. Like we really have to be a strong voice for that, along with our community. And you know what, Mayor, you've done a great job of developing the city. You have relationships like no other mayor has had, and you've been able to do a great job of that. But I need you and I need your friends who are developing Wilmington to make sure that Black and brown people are also winning. Right. And are also getting these contracts and also getting jobs where they can feel proud and don't have to be on the street, and they can support their families. And also are giving contracts to start to create generational wealth. Right. So, and he said he's on board with that. So until he shows me anything different, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going, and we're just getting started. You know, we're 2 days in.
We're 2 days in. Right.
So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But as soon as that doesn't happen, like it's my responsibility.
You own it.
Right. I gotta be like, because the people who put me here, like. So people, I keep jumping all over the place, but people keep saying, yeah, man, you're in this role now, and you got to give and take, you got to compromise. But I'm never going to compromise, like for people who need me the most, and they put me here. Like I'm not, like I'll lose first. I'll be looked at as a president who just didn't get anything done before I compromise and put people in a space where they could be hurt. I can't do that. That's not how I was raised, and I don't need any political favors. You know, I don't need to be in a clique. I don't need to be. I don't need that. All I need is for people. I need for my city to be better in 4 years. Right. That's all I need. So I'm hopefully the mayor stays the course, and like that's all I have to say. Like I hope that he does it, because I don't want.
Do you believe he's going to do it?
I want to believe it.
Okay.
So I want to. So
what's holding you back?
Just some of the things that over the last 4 years, where I think that things have come before us, before council, and that could have hurt us, or that could have helped us. And I didn't hear his voice. So when every year, every 2 years, our police department comes to council, just a formality, and say, hey, you know, we've had some people quit, we've had some people retire, we really need to regroup and get back to our authorized strength. So they come to council and say, you know, pretty soon we're going to be below our authorized strength. Can we start another police academy? So we'll have enough police officers to patrol our city. And over the last 12 years, like I've always said to them, okay, and council has always said, sure, go ahead. Of course, because we want our people to be safe. We understand the importance of public safety. So this past time, when it came to us, I said, hold up, time out. Let's talk about diversifying. Let us hear your plan on making sure there are more Black and brown people on our police department. Because like you said, we're a city that's 70% Black and brown. So our police department should be more reflective of that. Like you wouldn't expect to go to Westover Hills, right, and see a Black police department, because that's not the Westover Hills community.
Right.
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 But if you come to the city of Wilmington and you see the city of Wilmington is black and brown, our police department should be a more representative of that, right?
Yeah.
So, and we got pushback. And I'm like, what do you like? Why? I'm like, why would you give us pushback for just requesting to talk about your plan for diversity? Like, we didn't say you got to have this amount of black people, black and brown, Hispanic people. We didn't say that. All we said was, let us hear your plan on increasing diversity. So, like, the chief pushed back. And some council members even push back, like, you can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? That's why we're here, to make sure that everything is done on a in the right way. So, and I didn't hear the mayor say, hey, chief, like, you got to make sure that our police department is more diverse. Like, you hear council, why wouldn't you at least have the conversation?
Right.
So so we sent it back, like, we didn't approve it.
Right.
So we said we're not going to approve it until we can have a conversation about diversifying the police department. They came back to us again, I guess thinking that we were going to fold. I don't know. They came back to us again with the same request and didn't have a conversation with us. I'm sitting here like, how disrespectful is this? Like we're really asking for something that's off the wall. It's like, no, we can't approve this until you have this conversation with us. And I mean, the media was on it, like, because this is the first time it ever happened. So,
right.
The news journals, they wrote a story about it. And I just never heard the mayor chime in. So that kind of, and when you asked me what kind of, like, why am I kind of hesitant? I didn't hear that. But again, that was then.
Right.
He and I have had conversations since then.
Right.
And I just hope that he's on board and will stay the course.
I think the city of Wilmington, I know the city of Wilmington would be so much better when the constituents of this beautiful city can see everyone playing in the sandbox together.
Right. That's what we got. That's what we got to get.
I mean, we're small.
That's the thing.
City.
Like, we're so small, and we have money to do it. We have to reallocate those monies so that, like you said, everybody can be in the sandbox playing together.
And that's what I want to talk about too. Money.
What's that?
Right.
All right.
Why does city council get paid so little? I mean, when you go to Philadelphia, and because this thing, you look at the city council here, right? What you guys do is a full-time job, right?
No, it's not.
It's not?
Nah. No, it's not. It's not. Most council members have full-time jobs.
That's my point. Right.
It is a lot. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's a lot. I mean, it's weekends, it's holidays, it's evenings.
It's
but
grand openings.
right.
It's setting laws.
It is, but it's not a full-time job. Like, we're not required to go there and clock in and be there from 8 to 5. So I think it would be unfair to classify it as a full-time job. It's full-time hours. Like, I'm in there now, like, almost more than I was in the funeral home. I'm like, oh man, this is a lot.
You're not doing the funeral home anymore?
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am. But I'm just like, I'm taking some time just to kind of get my feet wet and learn, what I have to learn right now.
Right,
I got myself into
training.
Right. So, and plus we have, like, we're considered part-time, but we have excellent benefits.
Oh, who you?
I mean, our benefit package is the best in the state. So although we do, and plus we get paid like $30,000.
Yeah.
All right. So I understand why people may consider it a full-time job, because it is a lot, but it's honestly not. It's not a full-time job. Right. It's a part-time job, and we signed up for this part-time job.
Yeah.
And we signed up knowing how much we were going to get paid. So you really can't get in there and say, you know what, we deserve more.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Okay.
That's not fair.
Right.
And I don't want to seem unsympathetic to people who may think that we should get more, but that's not why we're here. Hopefully that's not why. I don't know of anybody who said, I'm gonna go be a city councilman because I want to make this much money.
Oh no, I get it.
I get it. Right.
I get
so
it.
we knew it. We signed up for it.
I get it.
And it comes with a lot of heat, a lot of pressure. I've been on the news journal.
Boy, you've been
everywhere. I've been in WD, ESPN, everywhere. So
Home and Garden.
Right. So
you've been on everything.
So but that's what I signed up for.
Right.
So
in closing, right. First, again, thanks for your comment. And in closing, Home and Garden.
Home and Garden.
Trippi, whatever. Thanks for coming, Trip. I really appreciate it. But in closing, what do you want your constituents and the constituents of residents of Wilmington to know about this 108?
Just to stay engaged and keep us accountable. And like as many people who watched the inauguration continue to watch every single committee meeting, every single city council meeting, and watch it with your friends and your family, and stay engaged and keep us accountable. Keep me accountable. If you see me on here now, but you see me in a month and I'm starting to go to the left, like, hey, Trip, where's that same energy that you were talking about with Ivan?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, to stay engaged, get engaged, and learn how our process works, and just be a part of our city. And like, I really want to reinvent the city.
Awesome.
And I need people to help me do that. But the biggest thing is just to get engaged and stay engaged. So,
my man, appreciate it.
All right, homie.
All right. It's your main man, Big Ive, the talk of the town, Mr. DETVCH.com. Stay tuned. You know, you don't want to go anywhere, because I'm going to start just, letting people know what's going on down at City Council, because we need to keep you guys informed. So you heard it from from Council President Trippi that we need to be engaged. That's the biggest part of it. We can change the community together. We all play in the same sandbox. This is your main man, Big Ive, DETV. I'll see you on the other side. Appreciate you, good brother.